Welcome in, Sagittarius. It looks like you're coming out of hiding. Where have you been hiding, Sagittarius? You are the bridge between heaven and earth. So I feel like maybe you're coming in to bridge the gap. We do have Chiron here. So we do have some deep healing that has taken place. And we're just going to take a look at that. Astrological. So the key here is herbs, shooting stars, and rainbows. It's the healer. So we've got Sagittarius, which is the shaman of the zodiac. And it does look like you are setting aside the you in front of the you so that you can step forward into your timeline, I guess. You've been hiding, you've been stagnating, you've been kind of lying under the surface. And right now we've got Yod symbolism in Sagittarius, so that is super targeted energy. Like something happened, a shift in the mindset, something inside of you was rumbling and has been rumbling for a while. So you are in the state of action. If you are resisting that action, I don't even know how you're doing it. You do like your privacy at the moment, so you're not really sharing the details. You're not telling your family, your friends, or anybody what's going on. You're sort of just maintaining that stillness within. You're also very attuned to the polarity. I mean, being man and beast, you know that you have to contain both of those. And Sagittarius does tend to hold the burden on their shoulder. But let's look deeper into what Chiron means. This is the card I pulled for you, and we're going to dive into that. This is abandoned by his parents and left to die. The immortal centaur, Chiron. And isn't that interesting? I knew I was called to bring in Sagittarius, but I wasn't sure what this reading was going to be about. And I went ahead and pulled an extra card, and boom, there was Chiron. So we do know that Sagittarius is in Chiron, somewhere in some timeline. Wherever you are, you're a multi-dimensional being, and you are unique to the rest of the universe. But let's just see how. So we've got the immortal centaur Chiron has taken in by the twins Apollo and Artemis. He became the healer and had a gift for bestowing just the right knowledge on just the right person. He was a guide to many important figures, most famously Jason and the Aeronauts. In a stroke of fate, Chiron was accidentally wounded by Hercules, but unable to die. He was forced to tend to his wound over and over again. That's a profound idea. So, right? What is this wound that you're being forced to cycle back through over and over? What can we do to clear that wound out? Chiron is now technically a planetoid in astronomy. He remains an important asteroid figure in astrology, where he is the key between the inner and outer planets. He lives in the space between the conscious and the unconscious mind, bridging the gap between us as individuals and us as part of the masses. Where Chiron is located in your natal chart is where you will need to tend to an ongoing wound. The house is where you feel particularly inadequate, and the sign represents how the inadequacy manifests. While it can never be fully healed, you can use the lessons you learn along the way to improve other areas of your life. What does that mean when they say the wound can never fully heal? It just means through past, present, future, we're healing in the way of acceptance. We're healing in the way of observation. We're healing in the way of stepping aside the you that's in front of the you. But it doesn't go away through memory. You're going to always remember it. And the memory is always going to be painful. The goal is to redefine how it shifted your life, what it did to catapult you into a new timeline, how it taught you to value yourself in different ways. So it's really about redefining the wound. And if you haven't done that, that's why you're in the cyclical paradox of where it is. So we're going to get you out of that. The aspects between Chiron and the outer planets in our natal chart point to where and how we can help our community. Just like the great centaur took the gift of knowledge he was given and passed it on to others, you too can make a difference if you try. I love this. I love that because I think to myself, Sagittarius is memory. So good. Such a great memory. Where others forget and don't take accountability, Sagittarius kind of takes accountability for everything. So be conscious of that. You don't want to be taking accountability for other people and their burdens. And even though you innately proclaim that position, you have free will and you can step away from the burden. So Chiron appears when you have that nagging feeling of self-doubt we just can't shake. You already have all the tools you need to solve your problem. You just have to do some deep reflection to find them. Try as we may. Even the most evolved of people carry their trauma with them everywhere they go. How they use this trauma is what is important. That's exactly what I just said. It is so important. Like the wound is, let's talk about like a deep wound that you had in the connection with your mom or your dad or maybe a really close, intimate friend. And it was out of left field and it was deep and it really impacted the connection. We have to be able to step away from that and forgive. We don't know what we don't know until we know. That is a phrase, a mantra, an affirmation that I said multiple times until I got on board with it, until it started to resonate and make sense. Because if I'm holding somebody else's burden, then that is affecting the way that I'm living. It's affecting what I'm receiving. It's affecting my reciprocity. It's my value. All of it's being affected by that one little sticker. Like just to give you a little story, in one of the things that I was watching, a little boy was sitting on the ground and he had a thorn in his foot. And he was just sitting there and he's crying and crying and crying. And his mom came along and he's like, "Don't touch it." And he made her promise not to touch it. But he was just sitting there with a thorn in his foot and he couldn't move. And it was tiny little thorn in this little large human body, preventing him from moving. One thorn. And his mom just kept saying, "You have to be brave. You've got to pray to the Creator for courage. Pray for courage. Pray to be strong. Pray for guidance. Pray for support." And he's like, "I want to pray that it would just fall out." So that'll take a while. You can either pull it out or you can just sit there for the ages, right? The cycles over and over and over. Eventually, yes, it will fall out. Inevitably. Either it will fall out or you'll suck it in. I don't know. Either way. But finally, the child stuck his foot down, and with courage and bravery, he pulled it out and started laughing. He's like, "Oh my gosh, That was, he just realized how simple it was to just pull, and also could see how that little tiny thorn was debilitating his entire life, his entire day, right? But then after he pulled it out, he was so proud of himself. That was my favorite part, where he was just like, oh my God, I did it. And it was just that little teensy little thing. And I loved the way his mom handled it. She let him handle it. She didn't try to take over. She didn't force him. She didn't push him. She didn't tell him what to do. She just explained to him consequences, ideas, different angles to look at it. And it worked. So the asteroid carries with it a delicate balance between inward focus, tending to yourself, and outward focus, tending to others. Swaying too far in one direction can make us overindulgent and selfish, and the other way can leave us feeling neglected and burnt out. This is an ongoing theme of life that we all must experience at one point or another. So I like how simplistic that was. It was so easy, like swaying too far in one direction can make us overindulgent and selfish, and the other way can leave us feeling neglected and burnt out. So how do we proclaim our position and our power, right? We stop, first off, you aren't a savior. I know Sagittarius really is the most, so compassionate, has like this ancient energy inside, and really wants to provide for everybody. But when it becomes a burden, then they sort of start to hide and go within and feel their wounds and their pain, and then they're not enough, and then they're too much and not enough, right? It's so important to regulate. And I can tell you, across all zodiac signs, the key and main ingredient is you. It's you. It's absolutely you. That is it. That's all. If you focus on you, everything around you, all the matter falls into place. It's a beautiful orchestra. I've seen it. I've been there, I've done it, and it's so beautiful. Watching the miracles unfold around me, once I stopped paying homage to every little thing I thought I needed to save, You just like that mother and that child, she didn't take on the burden. She guided him through it because she wanted to, because she was there, because that was her journey, because that was her position. She was in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing. Whether that would have been her son or some stranger on the side of the road, she would have done the same thing. She was there, right? You do what you do because you're in the right place at the right time and doing the right thing. I'm never going to turn down somebody that is sitting right in front of me seeking guidance. But I won't do it for him. Just like that mother. She didn't pull that thorn out. He had to do it himself. She did offer, though. She did offer to do it. Like, she did. But I'm glad that he chose to do it on his own. And that was really neat that he did that. He did. And all that mother really wanted is her child to not have to feel that pain. But she also understood that that pain was alchemizing somebody inside of him. It's beautiful. Okay, so I'm pulling a Tree of Life card because I want to see where you are in the tree. If you're coming out of hiding and you're ready to heal these wounds and you're targeting your energy and your discernment in the polarity seems pretty good, and you still require privacy, so you're still not sharing, but you are setting aside the you in front of the you. That means you've been through a lot. And now it's time to weave those teachings into an expression. And here we've got following the call of divine law. This is the 21st path. So you're making connections. These are like all the chakras. This is the tree of life. And these are the neuro connections that are being made. So you've got a new neuro connection here being made. This is awakening to your purpose. Oh, that's why you're coming out. Following divine will and commitment. I love this. This is Jupiter, the wheel. And wouldn't you know it, it's Jupiter. That is Sagittarius. God, this is great. I love it when things are samadhi or seamless. Samadhi is seamlessness, perfect merge. Wordless, formless, actionless, effortless. Samadhi just is. And so we've got the wheel here. So it can go either way. And since you're working with polarity, let's focus on the joy and not the burden. Joy and not the burden. Now that can take some practice, especially when you're just really, learning to create connections in different ways, seeing the dark and the light, the destruction within the creation within the destruction. That's going to take a little bit of time to get those right and left hemispheres working together as a team as they start to merge. That's what regulates your balance. And that's what Chiron is talking about, is this is the middle. So we've got Apollo and Artemis. So let's just say Apollo and Artemis. He became a healer and had a gift for bestowing just the right knowledge on just the right person. Okay, gift. Okay, but if it's distorted, it's overreaching or underreaching. And then he was a guide to many figures, most famously Jason of the Argonauts. In a stroke of fate, Chiron was accidentally wounded. So Chiron is now technically a plantoid, where he's the key between. He is the key, right? Where it's this like bridging the gap between Apollo and Artemis. And he is the key between the inner, outer planets. He lives in the space in between the conscious and the unconscious. Isn't that wild? So you are like in the middle, you're bridging the gap and moving into higher intelligence, pulling in your wisdom. I'm going to look at your archetype here. What is your archetype? This is wild and awesome. I also want the polarity here. So the isolation or you coming out of hiding. So we've got weakness and strength. The strength, of course, is the awakening to purpose, coming out of hiding, following divine will, commitment. The weakness is inability to see the choices, self-pity, and disconnection. That's where you were. So I just want you to see your growth and really what's happening. And if you're here watching this reading, whether this reading or tomorrow you come out of hiding, we don't know. In fact, I'm going to pull a timeline card. Now, again, it's all about divine timing, but I just kind of want to see, like, what does your timing look like? You're wasting your time at night. Divine timing is required. And then it says April. And yeah, April. So I'm looking, I have time oracle. And again, I always like to say energy is timeless. Time and space don't exist. So like this reading is timeless. Who knows when you'll find it or what century or what dimension or where you'll be, but it will just be the most perfect message you ever had. And it will just hit like an impact, like an asteroid hitting the earth. That was pretty good. And so I'm asking, like, when is he coming out? So first off, it's saying that you're wasting your time because you've already stepped into position. You might enjoy nights. That might be your best time for contemplation. You're being asked, patience is required. So it's saying divine timing. Allow it to unfold. And then we've got April, the blooming of this beautiful mahogany flower. I think about Mary Magdalene when I see that. Okay, and now I'm going to look at what your archetype looks like. I'll get ready to wrap up this reading. I am going to pull one more card after this for the emotion, so hold tight for just a minute. She-wolf, unleash the wild within. Okay, whether you're masculine or feminine, what I love about this card is this is like, this is so Sagittarius, like wild, sensuous, sexual. Did I say wild? Radical. I don't know if you know what a quincux is in a chart, but it's like that one that just stands out from the rest. This is the energy that is stirring inside of you, right? And then I've got Yod symbolism. That's super targeted energy. Like you have a plan and you are executing that plan. Okay. And then I just want to pull what emotion here, maybe. Present. Embrace the flow of life. Full moon in Gemini, and that completely makes sense because we've got the two, the Apollo and the Artemis, Gemini energy, the twins. So you are, look at that. I love that, love that, love that. Embrace the flow of life, Sagittarius. Awakening to purpose and following the divine will. What a freaking, oh yeah. Give me a sign I can recognize. Give me a sign I can recognize. Now, I just randomly pulled this card before the reading and I didn't look at it. And it actually comes from somebody maybe passing over the veil. So give me a sign I can recognize. So look for a sign. Look for a sign. Look for a sign. I'm going to say, look at this. If you can see the flowers. So I'm going to say these flowers right here are a symbol of something because they're exactly the same flowers. And listen, I know that there's some depth to this reading. I know there's some darkness still unraveling within you. But this is right here part of the process, coming in and having these reflections done, whether it is with me or somebody else. I always say Reiki is the most powerful modality on the face of the planet, and it can catapult you into a new timeline because when you start to see your life from the eye of the Creator or the eye of God or the eye of the eagle, things start to move effortlessly because now your vision is targeted. So there you go. There you have it. I love you so much. It's an absolute honor for me to be here. My name is Bobby, for those of you that are new here, and I am absolutely honored. I will see you in the next video.